Syracuse is on the verge of landing Johntay Cook, and this would be a massive gamble for Fran Brown.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Of course, we're always free and available wherever you get your podcasts. On today's show, we'll go over the latest news with Syracuse football. They got a number of visitors coming today, and who knows, maybe Syracuse could land one or two commits in the near future. Plus, the spring transfer portal is officially closed to new entries, and the quarterback situation remains. It looks like we are going to have a quarterback competition between Steve Angeli and Rickie. We'll dive into it more later on here on this episode. We're going to start the podcast talking about former Texas and Washington wide receiver Johntay Cook receiving multiple crystal ball predictions to land with Syracuse. And folks, once again, I am releasing this earlier than usual because the normal time I release episodes is weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. But because this is a crystal ball prediction, multiple of them, I should say, I'm on high alert for if and when Johntay Cook officially commits to Syracuse football. All that and more here on this edition of Locked On Syracuse. But before we get to all of that, this episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Yesterday, in case you missed it, Syracuse football received multiple crystal ball predictions to land former Texas and Washington wide receiver Johntay Cook. The predictions are coming from On3, specifically Steve Wiltfong and Pete Nakos. That most likely means that Johntay Cook will eventually be a member of Syracuse football. It's not quite the same as when Steve Angeli was crystal balled to Syracuse, because that was literally every single national expert in recruiting saying that was going to happen. But this is two big ones from On3. So I'm going to trust their word that this is likely going to happen. Should be noted that Johntay Cook did visit Syracuse early last week. Let's get into the bio and then into the gamble this is for Syracuse football, because, folks, this is a gamble. Cook is 6 foot, 185 pounds. He's got multiple years of college eligibility remaining. Depends on the site that you check. Some will say he's got 2 years. Others will say he's got 3 more years of eligibility. But regardless, he's only been in college for 2 seasons. So he's at least got 2 more years of college eligibility. Cook was a former 5-star recruit. In the 2023 recruiting cycle, he chose Texas. And in 2 years at Texas, he played a total of 20 games where he amassed a grand total of 16 catches, 273 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He entered the earlier transfer portal window in December. He committed to Washington, but he was then dismissed from the program in mid-January. So he re-entered the portal, and now it looks like that Johntay Cook will eventually be a member of Syracuse football. Here's the deal, all right? I don't want to go too in-depth on Johntay Cook's past. And the reason is because there is probably going to be another full podcast about Johntay Cook pretty soon. So I don't want to burn all of that material. So I'll try to summarize it best here for you just briefly, okay? This is a test of faith in Fran Brown and his system. Because Johntay Cook is an electric talent. That is what has been told by a scout to me. Electric talent. He comes here and he is probably the most talented Syracuse wide receiver, just pure talent, in a long time. He's more talented than Trevor Pena. He's more talented than Jackson Meeks, who were the two leading wide receivers for Syracuse a year ago. And yes, I know that Jackson Meeks came from Georgia. Jackson Meeks was a 3-star recruit and a 3-star transfer. Johntay Cook in 2023 was a 5-star recruit and one of the top receivers in the nation. He is an electric talent. He is a field stretcher. This is someone that could bang their head on the goalpost on any given play. 2nd and 11 from your own 26-yard line, look out for Johntay Cook. He could house it, go 74 yards for you. And it's evident in his limited sample, averaging over 17 yards per catch. He is, in my opinion, what Syracuse needs. I think they do need a deep threat, and Johntay Cook fits that profile. However, this is a player that has been arrested multiple times. He's been dismissed from a program shortly after committing to said program. I'm, of course, referring to when he committed to Washington. And I have been told by the same scout that said he's an electric talent that he may not have it upstairs. And for those that are listening on audio, I'm pointing to my head. He may not have it. That's what I have been told. So this is a test of faith in Fran Brown. Can he maximize a guy like Johntay Cook? Can he get the most out of him? Is this what Johntay Cook needs to reboot his career? Reboot his reputation? Because he's going to have the opportunity. He walks into Syracuse, he is their most talented wide receiver. Just purely on talent. What do you all think? I want to hear from you in the comments section below. This move appears imminent, that Johntay Cook will be a member of Syracuse football. Do you want him? Can you overlook his checkered past? Or can you not? I want to hear from you in the comments section below. How much do you trust Fran Brown here? That's what it comes down to. This is a player that could have an excellent year in 2025 and go straight to the NFL in 2026. He could declare early, go right to the NFL. That could happen. But this is Johntay Cook's last chance. This is it for him. This will be his 3rd team, his 2nd team he picked in the transfer portal. If it does not work here, he might be toast. So hopefully that means he'll be on his best behavior. I support the move. I trust that Fran Brown knows what he's doing. And also the fact that I think he could help Syracuse win more games. But this is a gamble. And let's just hope that if and when this happens, that it pays off for Syracuse football. Once again, Johntay Cook, former Texas and Washington wide receiver, who's got a checkered past, has received multiple crystal ball predictions to land with the Orange. They're coming from On3's Steve Wiltfong and Pete Nakos. That means this is happening, folks, in all likelihood. And I want to hear from you in the comment section below. Now, coming up, the spring portal is officially closed to new entries. And so we'll talk about what this means for Syracuse football next, here on Locked On Syracuse. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into some player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. And folks, if you enjoy this podcast, if you could just do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow and reach all Syracuse Orange fans. And of course, Thank you to all those who continue to subscribe each and every day. You all are truly the best. Let's talk about the spring portal being officially closed to new entries. That means nobody in football is allowed to enter the transfer portal unless they are a grad transfer. Now, it should be noted, it did officially close Friday at midnight, but sometimes it takes a day or two for the news to process. A player can enter the transfer portal, but it just does not get out until later on. That does happen at times, but I think it's safe to say that on Monday, April 28th in the afternoon, that we will not see another Syracuse player enter the portal unless they are a grad transfer or they get some sort of special waiver that I am unaware of. What is the significance of the spring portal being officially closed? Well, the quarterback situation remains. Rickie Collins and Hykeem Williams are still with Syracuse football. And I must say that I am pleasantly surprised about the lack of activity with Syracuse's quarterbacks, especially after the addition of Notre Dame's Steve Angeli. If you recall, I own it. I was wrong. I predicted that when Syracuse got Steve Angeli out of the portal, that one of, if not both, Rickie Collins or Hykeem Williams would enter the transfer portal. And there were a couple of reasons why I felt this way. Number one, and I still think that this is true, Steve Angeli isn't coming here to be Syracuse's backup quarterback. He did not leave Notre Dame's backup job to then be Syracuse's backup. That just does not make a whole lot of sense for Steve Angeli, right? So that's number one. And he's got limited experience, but albeit pretty good experience when he has been on the field for Notre Dame. The other reason why I believe that we were going to see another quarterback or two enter the transfer portal is because head coach Fran Brown mentioned that after he named Rickie Collins the starter, keep in mind this does predate them getting Steve Angeli, that Syracuse may see multiple quarterbacks leave in the portal. And the only one of somewhat significance that left is Michael Johnson Jr. That's it. So this is a big win for Syracuse football that they were able to keep their top three quarterbacks on the depth chart. So what does it look like right now? Well, I think you got a tie for first. I'm just going to call it a tie until we know officially who is going to be the starting quarterback. I mean, feel free to comment in the comment section below your thoughts on who you think will be Syracuse's starting quarterback next year. But it's between Rickie Collins, the transfer from LSU, who they got in December, or Steve Angeli, the most recent addition, the transfer from Notre Dame. And then in third is Hykeem Williams, a redshirt freshman that has now been with Syracuse he's now with Syracuse for his second season. This is the best case scenario. This is a really good thing that Syracuse was able to keep all three. And we got a quarterback battle now on our hands. That's great that nobody left in the transfer portal. Also good for Rickie Collins. I'm really happy for him. I never hold it against players if they decide to transfer for one reason or another. And in the case of Rickie Collins, I definitely would not have held it against him if he decided to enter the portal because he's again, he doesn't play like Steve Angeli, but he's got a similar career archetype or career arc like Angeli. This is a former top recruit who goes to a top school and in LSU. Can't really crack the field over there because they got a number of quarterbacks that are blocking him, whether it's Jaden Daniels in 2023 or Garrett Nussmeier in 2024 or Garrett Nussmeier again in 2025, this upcoming season. And so he transferred to Syracuse in December that unless Kyle McCord was going to get another year of college eligibility, and we'll never know if he was going to get that another year of eligibility, he was going to start. I mean, sure, he had to earn the starting job. Like he was not going to be able to just stink it up over spring ball and then get the starting job. Fran Brown doesn't operate that way, but he knew coming to Syracuse that this was going to be a good opportunity for him. He would have a chance to be named the starting quarterback. And lo and behold, he predictably wins the quarterback battle. He beats out Michael Johnson Jr., he beats out Hykeem Williams, he beats out the true freshman that Syracuse got in 2025. And so he is the starting quarterback. Now, I do want to mention that Rickie Collins does have a hand injury, so just keep that in mind. It hasn't been reported as super serious, but who knows? Maybe it's more serious than we thought, and that's why they ultimately decided to add a guy like Steve Angeli, someone who could probably start for Syracuse this upcoming season. But he was named the starting quarterback, and Fran Brown publicly praises him, says all the right things about his new quarterback, and then they go out and get Steve Angeli. As a competitor, you don't want someone taking your job. I understand that they've all said the right things that are out there, but deep down, just as a competitor, that's gotta hurt. But Rickie Collins decided to stay with Syracuse. And again, I would not have blamed him one bit if he's like, you know what? I worked my butt off to be the starting quarterback of Syracuse football. I wanted this opportunity, and now you're sitting here and you're going and getting Steve Angeli. Well, screw off. I'm going to go enter the portal, and maybe I don't find a starting job at a Power 4 school, but I guarantee you Rickie Collins can find a starting job somewhere in the group of 5 at least and get more playing time. But he decides to stay knowing that he may not be the starting quarterback of Syracuse football in 2025. So good on him. Great competitor. And overall, let the best man win the job, whether it's Steve Angeli or Rickie Collins. Who do you think will be Syracuse's starting quarterback in 2025? Comment in the comment section below. So that's the big news with the spring portal being officially closed. Rickie Collins isn't entering the portal. Hykeem Williams is not entering the portal. The true freshman did not enter the transfer portal. And we officially have ourselves a quarterback battle between Steve Angeli and Rickie Collins. Now, coming up, more portal news to discuss. We got a number of visitors on campus today, plus Hykeem Williams, the wide receiver from Florida State, will make his decision soon. So that's coming up next on Locked On Syracuse. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment just feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Yes, save up to 60% off buying last-minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you would like. And the all-in pricing feature is truly the best because it means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is simply what you are going to pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We got a lot of visitors on Syracuse's campus today and over the course of the week. Specifically, once again, on the offensive line. Now, good news for you all. We got a new player to discuss as the Orange continue to hunt for offensive line help in the transfer portal. The new news? Well, Zach Rice. How about him? Let's talk about him. 6'6", 320-pound guard from North Carolina with multiple years of college eligibility remaining. He began his visit actually on Sunday and is expected to remain with Syracuse on his visit until Tuesday. According to On3's Hayes Fawcett, Zach Rice is a former 5-star recruit in the 2022 recruiting cycle, and he has played 20 games for North Carolina over his first 3 seasons. However, most of those playing time snaps have come on special teams. He also does have a checkered past, similar to like we were talking about earlier with Johntay Cook. So if and when Zach Rice commits to Syracuse, we'll dive more in depth into his past. But he's got some upside. He's got some experience playing. That being said, he's already been in college for 3 years. How much potential is really there with a guy like Zach Rice? And why was he never able to really see the field for North Carolina over 3 seasons? He's not my preferred choice along the offensive line, but maybe Syracuse is what he needs to ultimately live up to the potential that he once had. Now, as far as the other visitors, they're not new names. You got TJ Ferguson on campus, an FSU guard, and you got Cam Pringle on campus, a South Carolina tackle. We have discussed both of them already here on the podcast, and I'll tell you specifically where you can find where we talked about both of them. Yesterday's podcast, second segment, we talked about Cam Pringle, and the podcast on April 24th, you can find the third segment where we talked about TJ Ferguson. So those are the offensive line visits that are on campus today. Now, more news. Hykeem Williams, another player we have talked about here on this podcast. He is the former 5-star wide receiver in the 2023 recruiting cycle at Florida State. Well, per multiple reports, he is going to make his decision soon as far as where he is going to go in the transfer portal. Good news for Syracuse fans, including myself. Syracuse is in his top 3. He is making his decision between Syracuse, Pitt, and Colorado. Miami is no longer getting a visit from Hykeem Williams. So that's good news. I guess my only question with Hykeem Williams is how much does the Johntay Cook impending announcement affect his recruitment? Is this a situation for Syracuse where it's one or the other? Or is this a situation where they go out and they get both Johntay Cook and Hykeem Williams and they double up on former 5-star wide receivers in the 2023 recruiting cycle? I mean, I'll speak for myself. I would absolutely love if Syracuse got both Johntay Cook and Hykeem Williams, because instead of needing to hit on one of one, you just increased your odds of hitting on one of these wide receivers. Now you bring in 2, and so your odds go up that one of them will be good, and there's also potential that both of them will be good. They're also different. Hykeem Williams is a big body, physical wide receiver. Johntay Cook is more of a field stretching wide receiver. Either way, I would love both of them with Syracuse football. Seems like they're at minimum going to get Johntay Cook. But I want to hear from you in the comments section below. Who would you prefer if you were given the choice? Johntay Cook or Hykeem Williams? With Johntay Cook, when he's gotten on the field, which is not even a lot, he has shown that he can be a big play threat. He's got a checkered past. Hykeem Williams also has limited playing time, similar to Johntay Cook. Don't believe he has any off-the-field issues or concerns. However, he's dealt with a lot of injuries over the past couple of seasons. He had a season-ending ankle injury a couple of years ago, and he also dealt with a hamstring injury at the beginning of last season. Injuries, they start to pile up in football. Every injury, it's just not very good. So, hey, who would you prefer? Looks like they're getting Johntay Cook. I think I would also prefer Johntay Cook. I think Syracuse really needs that field stretching wide receiver. What do you think? Comment in the comments section below. So that just about does it for most of the portal news so far. To catch you up, 3 offensive line visitors: Zach Rice from North Carolina, TJ Ferguson, Cam Pringle, and Hykeem Williams is expected to make his decision soon between Syracuse, Pitt, and Colorado. As far as what is coming up on the Locked On Syracuse podcast in the future, well, we'll continue talking about the portal, whether it's basketball or football, and we're also going to await the official announcement of Johntay Cook being a member of Syracuse. Once again, in case you missed it earlier on in the episode, on 3, both Steve Wiltfong and Pete Nakos have logged crystal ball predictions for the Orange to land Johntay Cook, a former Texas and Washington wide receiver. Now, thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen today. And for your second listen, you can check out the Locked On Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. And you can find the Portal Podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. Tell all your friends about Locked On Syracuse. Plus, you're going to want to turn on those notifications, so hit that bell button so you know right away when I am dropping the next podcast. And I will see you all again soon.